So at the core of Weber's understanding of modernity is this notion of rationalization. So if for Durkheim, modernity is all about this new form of social solidarity through functional interdependence, and if Marx, modernity is all about a new mode of production in capitalism, for Weber, modernity is all about this thing called rationalization, the rise of a rationalized world. So we need to understand then what exactly he means by rationalization. And I think this is a tough concept to get from Weber. He speaks about it, he writes about it in more than one way. And so it's really hard to you have to kind of feel your way into what he actually means by rationalization. And one of the best ways, I think, to feel our way into it is to take a look at a series of paintings by a guy named George Tooker. These are paintings in which he's expressing some notion, his understanding in some ways of modernity through art. And I think they have a lot of resonance with Weber's understanding of rationalization and modernity. So I'll provide a link for this actually, and you can take a look at more of his body of work on D2L. But let's actually just walk through some of the pictures, some of the paintings that he gives to us. Right? So here you can kind of see a series of individuals boxed off inside of these isolated, lonely, if you will, little cubicles. You can imagine something similar. This is a kind of representation in some ways, perhaps, of the modern workplace, the modern office in which we are sort of cordoned off into our own little cubicles, isolated from others. Right? This is a painting of those eating sandwiches inside of perhaps a cafeteria. And notice something about both of these paintings here. Everyone kind of looks the same, is engaging in the same behaviors, but it's very cold, it's very impersonal, it's very heartless, right? There's a sense in which all these individuals are engaged in the same kinds of behavior over and over and over, but they're doing it in isolation. There's no real bonds of affection between them. They're all kind of together, but not really together. Right? Here you can kind of see some image of a bureaucratic machine, and you can think of a kind of modern bureaucratic agency, right, where everyone is sort of sectioned off. You can only interact with the bureaucratic agent through this window in which you don't fully see them. Right, so there's a blocking off of individuals, and their humanity is kind of separated away from one another. Here we have individuals inside of boxed off in you can see them boxed in suits, basically. So again, there's a kind of sense in which everything is the same, but it's all very isolating. It's very depressing. It's very kind of cold, and everyone is together but not really present with one another. Here is the image of the subway. Again, the dress, the faces, they're all drab, and you can kind of see the way in which they're all present with one another but isolated. Right? A similar scene here, a kind of modern hospital, if you will. Right? And then again, you see this set of women. This is really Stepford Wives-like, you know. Everyone again is looking the same, acting the same, being the same. The appearance, the facade really of happiness is there, but you can see in the corners desperation, loneliness, things of this nature. You can contrast this, and he contrasts this really with other images of warmth, individuals embracing, being connected with one another. There's more of a sense of togetherness, truly intimate social relationships, embracing one another. And you can see the art is very different. There's an interconnectedness of the lines as opposed to the kind of cold, straight, hard lines in the prior images. So if you're just thinking about those images and taking those with you as kind of the images of a kind of rationalized modern world, we can use that as an entry point into thinking about what rationalization actually means for Weber. When Weber talks about rationalization, he talks about it as the increasing sort of organizing of social life through principles of efficiency, calculation, and predictability. And those three are kind of buzzwords in a sense for Weberian thinking. Efficiency, calculation, predictability. The goal in a rationalized world is to create the most efficient, predictable systems where you can calculate all of your actions and what will happen if you engage in those actions in particular ways. Everything is sort of meticulously planned, coordinated, calculated, and oriented towards maximizing the efficiency of the overall system. So rationalization then is about ordering social life through a means of calculating the most efficient way to get things done. So it's reorganizing at a micro level social action through a kind of means-end calculation and framework, and at a macro level organizing entire systems and organizations through efficient calculation, through efficiency, calculation, predictability, right? That maximizing those as kind of values both of micro level social action and macro level social organization. And Weber sees this in two ways, and there's a kind of tension within his own writing about this. It certainly is the case, and Weber sees this as real great technical progress in the sense that this enables us to coordinate the actions of hundreds or thousands of people together. But at the same time, he sees something as being lost, and so he talks about rationalization as disenchantment, right? So he's contrasting the modern world with what he thinks of as an enchanted pre-modern world. The pre-modern world is filled with mystery, magic, emotion, tradition, right? The whole social arrangement is organized in a kind of almost magical way. There are spiritual forces that are everywhere guiding us for good and for bad. People are organizing their lives through effective human ties of the family and local communities, and that's governing social life. As modernity takes place, there's a fading away of these basic elements, and they're replaced by this kind of cold, hard, calculating rationality. And so he writes, I think in some of his most poetic language, that under modernity we become specialists without spirit, sensualists without heart, right? We become really good at technical things, right? And organizing our lives, and time management becomes essential, and technical skills become the dominant force for jobs and so forth, and we lose a piece of our humanity. I would argue Weber is suggesting we lose something special about the social nature and social relations that govern our worlds. We become basically technicians who can't really see morality, he would even say in a certain sense. So impersonal forces come to govern our lives, and we operate much like a computer program rather than a piece of art, if you will. And so, as you're thinking about it, I hope this helps you sort of think through some of what Weber is seeing. I hope the images from the George Tooker paintings kind of provide a real-world sort of understanding of this process of rationalization and how Weber sees this as a kind of disenchantment of the world. And if you have any questions, let me know.